Upstream, and I'm gonna go find my hoodie. Do I have? No, of course not. Yeah, the last part was 44, so great. I'm a little, um, I'm kind of thinking about like what mission I'm gonna do because I'm actually like fairly tempted to do the Arachnite mission because I have the most. Don't let the brutes get close unless you're Vanguard. Then there we go. Working somewhat better recently. Now, one thing I'm really kind of iffy about right now is the whole uh bomb plot line. It could potentially get a negative.
What do they say?
Sorry, it's encrypted. Cracking it would take at least a week, and it would be wrong. Commander?
Is that like a extra mission I guess we have now? On top of everything else?
Signal confirmed.
Hey, we have actual stuff to discover in this. I don't think we even needed that again. I think that may have been another negative.
I found
That's it. Well, there's my Ellie. Hey. Are you going to participate in the stream? Are you going to get in the way of the stream?
Shepard, Cerberus strike squads have infiltrated one of the major cities on Benning. Initial reports indicated they were recruiting civilians, but further investigation suggested that people are being taken against their will.
For what purpose?
Unknown. We sent a recon team to investigate, and the Cerberus squads reacted by targeting civilians and public facilities. Officially, Cerberus is denying responsibility and condemning the action. They're either lying, or we're dealing with a rogue faction.
And innocents are caught in their crosshairs.
Exactly. Secure the area so we can establish a rescue lifeline to the rest of the city.
Approaching the drop point, Commander.
Copy that, Lieutenant.
The people down there are counting on you, Commander. Hack it out.
Fielding an avalanche of civilian SOS requests, Commander. The bulk are concentrated on the upper street. Cerberus forces are pinning them down. You better hurry.
On my way. Keep me updated.
Roger that. Diversion is working, Commander. Civilians are on the move.
I think it's them when they're up there.
The streets are clear. Hold on, Commander.
What is it, Lieutenant?
I'm tracking civilians fleeing the city with Cerberus troops right behind.
Where are they?
Updating your nav point. You can intercept them there.
Gotta double time it.
Like, is there other stuff to discover here? Like, that's kind of a concern. I mean, unless this is another instance of urgency overcoming an agency, in which case, screw you. If there actually are things to discover. Also, screw you if there aren't. Hey, there's some stuff to discover. Hey, are there any people running backwards? Okay, there's some people dying. And then just vanishing, dissolving. Well, the bullets were even. It actually somewhat better. I mean, ignoring the fact that they just vanish after a while, or maybe even the minute you. Well, it's not the minute you look away. It might be like some number of seconds and then you look away. Like, it's kind of a nice touch. Even if you can read this, stay away from a taxi stand. That place is crawling with service soldiers, LA.
Look! Reinforcements are here! Try to stay calm.
What should we do?
Just stay down.
Commander, more Cerberus troops are heading your way. If you can hold the line there, it'll give the civilians time to escape.
You heard him. We hold here.
Not with that attitude. Wait. Who are you? Don't trust Cerberus. They're taking people against the will. Just run. Whatever you do, don't look back. Run. Oh, that's just you, James. Mind if I shoot you anyway? The hell?
There's nowhere to go.
Heck.
Not letting you out of my sight.
I'm so scared.
I kind of see why I don't remember this mission. It's kind of boring. I mean, the animations of them taking down civilians might get a positive because it's just a. But the mission overall probably isn't going to get positive. I'm not sure if we can give things negative for being just kind of standard. I kind of think the civilian dialogue. I think may actually be a net neutral in general. Because like it's a nice touch, but also it gets repetitive.
You're clear. Go. Hold the transport.
We're gonna make it!
No hostiles detected in the immediate area, Commander. Reinforcements are moving in to secure the evac route.
Good work, everyone.
I'll pick you up at the LZ, Commander.
Not even sure if I want to give it any positives.
Strikes against other cities on Benning.
Cerberus still denying responsibility?
Yes, and for once we're inclined to believe them gunning down innocent humans isn't their usual MO. Either way, the civilians down there have a chance now. We're solidifying the foothold and
A.
getting people out, then we'll move to liberating the rest of the planet.
I hope we can say the same for Earth.
One day, Commander. For now, we've got our work cut out for us. Carry on.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm inclined to believe about it being like, yeah, you're pretty much pointing out the plot hole there. I'm not even sure if there's any like actual.
What was that all about with the Primarch? Turian's up to something?
It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Uh-huh. All right.
That's it for now, Rex. Let's get back to work.
Yeah.
Something wrong?
Morden. He got his tissue sample from me, all right. Let's just say scalpels were never meant to cut where he cut.
Let's see if there's anyone else who has anything to say.
Well, Reapers don't have colonies. Neither does Cerberus. If they did, we could drop an asteroid on them.
Stop beating yourself up. It was crazy of me to ask you to join the Normandy back then.
But I let you down. I let Shepard down. I let everyone listed on that memorial wall down. You had the courage to support Shepard. Joker did. Garrison Tally did.
But Ashley didn't. Liara didn't. Were they cowards? I think not. Greg, you're one of the bravest and most loyal men I know. You were meant to be here, right now. We have a war to win. So clear your head and focus.
Shepard, Eve ready for travel to Tuchanka.
What can you tell me about the Shroud?
Climate regulator. Counteracts radiation damage to Tuchanka's atmosphere from nuclear war. Particles emitted from main tower form layer that mitigates ultraviolet bombardment, prevents atmospheric escape of necessary elements.
And your people put it up?
Yes, when uplift process began. Demonstration of goodwill to Krogan, stabilize climate, impress population. Combined with technological gifts, easy to gain Krogan support against Rachni.
Have you determined why she's immune?
Genophage targeted hormone production during pregnancy. Modification project used same modality. Her immunity totally different. Targeted glands now obsolete, like human appendix. Also explains her weakness. Gland substitution imperfect. Health trouble.
You always defended your genophage work. What changed your mind?
Never changed mind. Genophage.
Those circumstances?
Reaper invasion.
Nice talking with you, Morgan.
We'll be here if you need me. Continuing to study Shroud in meantime.
They interrupted talking. Damn it. Can I give a negative for this?
Maybe later.
Damn it.
Say that again?
The population of the colony world of Tyvor has been killed.
I don't understand. The Reapers have been taking people alive.
It was self-inflicted. When Reaper forces invaded, Tyvor's colonists detonated nuclear weapons inside their cities.
Goddess.
Their deaths would have been instantaneous, Doctor.
Thank you, Glyph. That'll be all.
Busy?
I have time if you'd like to talk. In fact, I could use the distraction.
What's on your mind?
How long it took the Reapers to eradicate the Protheans, and how long they'll need for us. It took them centuries to conquer the Protheans. We're not quite so widespread, but it would still take at least 100 years. It's selfish, but I keep thinking that if we fail... I'm only 109, Shepard. I could live to see the entire cycle come to an end.
Only 109, huh?
I know. It must seem strange to complain about a 1,000-year lifespan. I used to think it was sad that most aliens live such short lives. Maybe it's not such a privilege to outlive so many. To witness so much death.
Don't drive yourself crazy about this, Liara. We're still in the fight.
Only because you're still driving it forward. We finally have other leaders on our side, but none will take us as far as you can. Sometimes I wonder how you do it.
I think of the people I care about. That helps keep me going.
I'm glad I'm among them. I hope.
Of course you are.
I feel better already. Thank you for coming by, Shepard. Why don't we talk later?
Working on anything?
I'm helping decode some of the Crucible's designs, or trying to. Theoretical particle physics based on specialized base 12 mathematics aren't exactly my specialty. We're cobbling together knowledge from disciplines that take lifetimes to master. I'd trade my last 100 years to resurrect even one Prothean scientist to help us. I've never seen Krogan move with such purpose. It's a little terrifying. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for coming by.
At your service.
Gabby, is it true you helped repair Edie's mobile frame after that last mission?
She just needed an extra pair of hands. I am an engineer, remember?
Were oils and lubricants involved? Was there any moaning?
In your dreams, Kenneth.
If only my imagination was that good. Those FBA couplings you got us are still holding up.
Shepard?
Nothing to report.
I probably should do at least one more mission of some kind. I just not feeling that great tonight.
Dire news from Earth. Off the radar, reaping begins in rural areas. Millions are dead in the Central Asian wilderness, even more in sub-Saharan Africa. We'll give you the gruesome view of what happens when the Reapers don't stop to indoctrinate. Now, in the battle space.
Like, it's funny how like, Liara's pointing out the plot holes.
Cerberus stealthily strikes Star System shield. No, glad I read that one out loud. Do we need to talk, Commander?
Not right now, Alice.
Let me know when we do.
Hey, Esteban, for your shuttle being so stealthy and all, you sure do get shot at a lot.
Well, the UT-47A stealth systems only internalize heat and high-band emissions. So while few sensors can pick us up, our cover is blown as soon as someone looks up.
Time for an upgrade.
Most scanners and tracking systems don't operate in mid-range frequencies. Sure, maybe we've been shot at, but we haven't been shot down.
Yet. Lucky for us, you're almost as good a pilot as you think you are.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
Are my illusions. There they are. Trying to grab them without upsetting my kitty. Yeah. It's very important not to upset my kitty, whatever she's doing. She's kind of napping, but not really. You can nap if you want to. You do whatever you want. As long as my hands are free. How is he? Are you over there?
Everything okay with the shuttle?
Just double-checking the inertia dampener coils. Can be twitchy in these UT-47s. But don't worry, this bird's been rock solid.
I I always see you down here working your ass off. Ever take any downtime?
I get my sleep, Commander. Flying tired is nearly worse than flying drunk.
What about your waking hours? Any R&R?
I need to keep myself busy. Otherwise, well, too much time to think.
I appreciate your dedication, but I don't want to see you burn out.
I know my limits. I wouldn't take a chance with your life.
So before this war, you must have done something to relax.
Sure. I remember back when the Hawking was based out of Arcturus and I was just a fighter jock. There was this observation deck overlooking the main flight paths. You could watch every ship taxi in and out. When I was alone, I'd turn off the auditory emulators and just watch them drift by in silence.
You know, there are reviews like that on the Citadel. Next time we're there, you should take some shore leave. Clear your head.
I don't know. Maybe.
Is that good flirting?
Do what you need, but it might help.
I'll think about it. Thanks.
Or felt a little too much like flirting and
Parts of Tachanka reminded me of the desert back home. The lizards and worms are bigger, but, you know, the sand and everything. Primarch's sun is in over his head, no? Do you hear that hum? Is that just me? Do you hear that hum? Is that just me?
it's a sign of me being indoctrinated. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, Edie. Once the Krogan are gone, we'll get rid of the smell.
While this body has all factory sensors, I do not have positive or negative associations with any specific scent.
Oh. Well, lucky you. Commander?
Shepard, you are staring. Hello, Shepard.
Okay.
Look at that galaxy map. Do you know how many strategy games are built from that interface?
You play strategy games?
A few. Most are too flashy, though. I prefer chess. I have a set made from rose quartz and hematite back home. I like the feel of something solid in my hands.
Well, now that I know your weakness, we may have to try a game.
It'd be more fun than playing Edie. Edie doesn't sweat.
You sweat playing chess?
Depends on how much fun we're having. Commander?
I guess there's nothing in here. I've probably already given this too many negatives. This does not match the rule of like if there were an actual rule of like most systems where you like relay and don't have anything defined in them, that would be okay maybe. But here, there's nothing defined, and this is a Reaper controlled space, so you keep on coming back here, wanting to try and find something, but there's nothing defined. Exactly, Ellie.
Any updates, Commander?
Our backup is waiting for us at the drop point. Arlac Company, Grogan Commandos.
That's correct, Shepard. They are an accomplished unit. Their decisive action in liberating a colony from Batarian pirates made them famous.
Good to hear. Other than that, there's been no word from a team of Krogan scouts since they went through the Rachni relay.
I don't like the sound of this. The Krogan would have come prepared to fight.
We don't know much, but no Rachni activity has been reported.
Still, it's troubling there are rumors at all. It's been years since you released the last Rachni Queen on the condition she'd disappear forever. She was desperate to save her race.
You're telling me you let a Rachni Queen go? Are you kidding?
No. It was the right call. Just be ready for anything.
Yeah, shuttle just arrived. You better get moving, Team 2. See anything, let me know.
Grunt?
Shepard.
Yep.
Shepard!
What are you doing here?
How long should you wait to give it the negative?
Same question. Didn't those idiots lock you up?
They did. Put me in lockdown to keep the Batarians off me. Didn't want problems with the Council while they prepared for war. But the situation changed.
Yeah, they got bigger problems, all right. That's why I'm out here running Arlac Company. They're tough, think they're invincible. Reckless, but effective.
Sounds familiar, Grunt. How did you go from being new and unproven to your own command?
Wasn't easy. When Rex put Arlac Company together, he needed a leader who represented the future of our species. Thanks to you, I completed my rite of passage on Tachanka and became part of Clan Erdnot. I was an equal. And being the strongest, I was chosen to lead this honored company.
I bet some didn't like a tank-bred Krogan being in charge.
I collected a few scars earning my place here. These Krogan respect me.
You were a pain in the ass, Grunt. But if your Krogan are half the soldier you are, we might make it out of here.
Glad you're here to crack some heads, Shepard. Hard to believe this might be Rachni. Seems crazy. The Rachni. A chance to face the old enemy? Impossible to resist.
We don't know if the Rachni had anything to do with this. We're here to find the scouts. I didn't see any signs of activity during our approach.
Agreed. But this place smells wrong. Like a bad wound. Our scans show the tunnels down there lead to a large central point. If we're lucky, it's a nest.
Rachni have nests?
Arlec Company, move out!
I think I'm already leaning toward positive for Grunt, although I'm not sure if you'll be able to grab my
Take what you need and move out.
I think while we're at a bit of a lull point here, before we actually go into the mission, I have no idea what kind of weapon that is. Okay, it is an actual, like, shotgun. Claymore has more weight and more damage. How do I swap the mods? Or can I do that here? I probably can't. Okay. Let's just talk about the rock knifing here. Because, I mean, we're going to be knee deep in action or whatever. And action cutscenes after this point, so I probably should talk about the rock knife. So basically, no matter what you do, no matter what you do, whether you save the Arachnite Queen or kill her, there is a Arachnite problem here. It's either the Arachnite Queen you saved, or it's a clone of a Arachnite Queen. Maybe not necessarily this one, but it's a Arachnite Queen clone. Um, and there's no real problem with. There isn't necessarily a problem with the idea of saving the Arachnite Queen coming to bite you in the ass. You know, because like the Reapers, you know, uh, um, seize control of her, and which is basically what happens here. Spoilers. Um, and again, this is the only point where I feel I can discuss it, and it's spoilers for something that's going to be revealed minutes from now anyway. So, um, Ellie, what? What? You don't like spoilers? You haven't played this game before? Then why are you even in here? Do you plan on playing this game yourself? No, then why are you so upset? I guess this is your first time watching me play the game. So you don't want anything spoiled. Well, too bad. Because we had to discuss this game and how it could be done better. So, just plug your ears or something. I know you can't really do that, but. Anyway. Um. So, I mean, the idea by itself of the Ragtime Queen rescuing the Ragtime Queen, coming to bite us in the ass, isn't necessarily a bad one. It's not really like as narratively satisfying particularly the way that it's presented, and particularly given the fact that we're again another spoiler. We're we're basically given the same option all over again in a kind of "Are you sure you want to keep the Rock Knight Queen around?" type of way. Um, but then there's the fact that like if you if you destroy the Rock Knight Queen, then there's a clone, and this mission plays out pretty much identically. I'm not sure about the final choice. Um, I might actually have to look that up because if you're given the final choice to either save the clone Rachni Queen or destroy the clone Rachni Queen, and if you save her, then you um, get the war asset, and it's effectively the same thing. That might actually get an additional negative. Um, so how would I handle this? Well, ideally, if there was enough time and resources, um, there would be an entirely separate mission potentially. I don't know what the mission would be. Um, eh, um, or this would be an entirely different mission. My ideal scenario would be that um, the Rachni Queen you saved is actually has an adaptation that makes her and her brood um, immune to indoctrination. That would be how I would set it up. Because, well, I think it's kind of a fair idea to have, um, you know, your Paragon choice come back to bite you in the ass. It's not very narratively satisfying. It just doesn't. I'm not sure it really works. It's kind of it's not. Yeah, it's not narratively satisfying, and it also. I don't know, let me just get into what I would do. So either there would be an entirely different mission from this, maybe involving the like harvester, the race that the harvester was like based on, those like dragon things. Maybe you have to fight those. And the idea would be that if you save the Ragtime Queen, they would come in and like help you. Otherwise, you're kind of on your own. Although behind the scenes, they would the missions, depending on whether or not the Rachni are with you, our allies will be kind of balanced just a little bit differently so that they're still relatively the same amount of challenge. It's kind of GM prerogative, GM prerogative, um, as it were, to just kind of because like in a tabletop role playing game, uh, you could have like a dungeon set up, or like for example, you have a dungeon set up where that originally was going to be for like a certain level of party. Like you were expecting, like there's a dungeon you have that you were expecting the party to like, um, you had a plot hook, you had a bunch of things set up, and then the party doesn't bite. So like, if they'd gone for that dungeon immediately, it would have been like for a level, like for example, a level 5 party. Like the encounters in that dungeon would be designed for a level 5 party. So because they didn't bite when uh, you want them to, and they do like a couple dungeons and or other things, and they level up to like level 6 or 7. By the time they finally get around to checking out this little rumor that they heard earlier, or whatever that led them that would have led them to the dungeon. So now you had this dungeon that you designed for a level 5 party, and then suddenly they're level 7. So you had to like rethink, and like maybe another player joined in too. So like now they have like one other party member, that you didn't account for when you originally designed the dungeon. So you had to completely redesign the encounters and everything for a higher level party with an extra character in tow, with a whole new set of abilities. It's not quite analogous to this, but it's a similar, um, a similar thing. Like realistically, the dungeon should have like unless you have an actual plot device where I don't know, like the enemies inside it are able to actually train and get better and gather forces while the player is off. The players are off doing other things. Unless there's something built in where that would make sense, that there will just be more monsters moving in, or the monsters that are in there would become more powerful if left to their own devices. Um, you know, there are things that the party isn't aware of, and for all the party knows when they finally get to that dungeon, that was always the level of challenge they would have faced. So it's gonna feel like, oh, it's a good thing that like we gathered this additional ally and waited until we were more skilled to tackle this, because this would have been nearly impossible if we'd gotten there before, even though technically it would have been easier. Or about a similar level of challenge. Um, the only difference with a video game is that you can go back and replay and make the other decision and then be like, oh, well, it's not that much easier or harder. But I don't think it's going to, like, bother people, because it's going to be, like, a cool factor to having an Arachnite on your side. And there could even be some, like, Half-Life 2-esque elements to it. Although I'm not sure if, ideally I'd want to have Half-Life 2-esque elements to it, just because that's a cool idea. But I'm not sure if it would be worth it for like just as one of a scenario that most players are gonna pick anyway. But like as a feature that some players are just not gonna see, potentially are not always gonna have. I think it would be worth it to have like a pseudo RTS element, you know, um, or whatever. Like Half Life 2 esque again. Like if you played Half Life 2, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then you're like what? And if you haven't played Half Life 2, play Half Life 2. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It is just too cool to spoil. Um, Now, if we wanted to get a little more lazy, we could sort of invert things here and be like, regardless of whether or not you chose to save or spare or save or spare, which are the same thing. Um, Regardless of what you chose in Mass Effect 1, there will be a clone Rachni Queen. And from there, it's the same story effectively, except that you would have the real Rachni Queen come in who is immune to indoctrination because, Rachni are adaptable by nature, and there's enough suspension of disbelief that they would have developed that as an adaptation, through their unique genetics and unique abilities as a species. And the cool thing is that could potentially even become a war asset, or a further aspect of the war asset of acquiring the Rachni. Also would explain why you would even accept them as a war asset when the Reapers could swoop in reactivate their indoctrination, and you know, at any given time, I don't think they even explain that properly here. So like by having them, again, it's more narratively satisfying to have a reward for doing something good than to have a punishment for doing something good and then the same punishment for doing something bad. It's not even really a punishment because, like, it's not really a good deed being punished in the grand scheme. Ellie, would you please leave me alone for now? I don't have time to play with you. You can get back in my lap if you want, but you have to be good. And I think it's kind of better to, I don't know, piss off players that destroyed the Rock Queen than to piss off players who saved the Rock Queen. Because again, most players are going to have saved the Rock Queen, so I imagine. And there literally wouldn't be that much difference technically from the clone Rachni Queen and the from using the clone Rachni Queen story element and using like the the fire dragon things, which I forget what they're called. I know like the harvester is kind of a reaper-fied version of that. And of course, my controller goes out while I'm explaining all of this. Okay. And you don't until you to be mechanics revolving around the rack. It would just be cool. Like they could all be AI controlled and just um, it'd just be a little more boring. And actually, like a little harder to balance in a way because like you have Ellie, don't be swatting at me. I told
Keep your weapon handy. Always.
negative to Ellie. I couldn't hear what James was saying because you're swatting at me. You're very cute, but you are a stinker. I'm not even sure if we're gonna make it for this mission. I'm. Look, I've got this agitated kitty on my lap. I've got a stomachache. My first actually feeling better than it has, a little better than it has. I don't think it's gonna change it that much to the point where like I'm gonna be able to have it. I can't remember if I was potentially considering giving a negative to the whole um concept of level weight slowing down your biotic power recharge speed.
Ready, Shepard. We're right behind you. You ready to go?
What did you do after the collectors were defeated?
I spent most of my time back on Tachanka learning what it was to be Krogan. In the lab where I was created, the lessons were like fighting with practice weapons. They had no bite, no impact. I needed the blood and pain. I made mistakes, but I learned.
Dang it. Ellie, if you're gonna land my lap again, you need to behave. I need to work. So information positive for Grunt. No further explanation needed. Ellie, please. You don't relax in my lap. I won't stop you relaxing in my lap, but if you're gonna be agitated on my lap, then go be agitated someplace else. So, control slash information negative. Interaction, I mean. Let's see for the choice not radically affecting this mission. I'm not gonna say like, for the lack of an option mission or anything. I'm just gonna say, as I described later, they could have done this, but Ellie, get off me then. Okay, I really need. I'm going to freaking look up. Ellie, please, I need. Hear me then. I'm sorry, but this is what I do. I love you, but you're being a brat. The Krogan team. Um, I may just have to. After I'm done talking to them, I might just call it quits. I'm just not feeling very well right now. And Ellie is not. I think she gave me a tiny little prick on my finger. Yep, and it's kind of bleeding. It's trying to test my blood sugar or something. got a paper cut effect, basically. Okay. I need a walkthrough. I just want to know about the final choice. Um, and whether or not it's possible to recruit. Okay, it's not a clone. It's just a Arachnite who is revived by the Reapers and has become indoctrinated. You can choose to either leave her or help her to survive. If you leave the Arachnite to die, you will gain the Arlock company as a war asset worth 25 points, but no Arachnite assets. If you choose, if you chose to rescue the original queen from Novaria, Arlock company will suffer grievous losses in the holding action, reducing their strength for 25 points. However, the queen provides Arachnite workers worth 100 points. Okay, if we choose to rescue the new breeder, you gain the Arlock company and 100 points of Arachnite workers. But the breeder proves untrustworthy after a few missions, taking away her war asset, wiping out the Arlock company, and removing 100 points from the Alliance Engineering Corps. Well, actually, I could give it a bit of a positive. It kind of comes out to a net neutral, like between the two. I mean, like that's still an interesting narrative there. You know, if you kind of change your mind with the breeder and decide to say to like make up for to make up for what you did earlier, it kind of bites you in the ass a bit later. Like that's interesting. Like that's interesting enough to get a positive. Um, I kind of want this thing to be a net negative though. Can we think of any other angles to consider this as negative? Because what I was considering was the idea that you have like the same choice at the end, to either save the Rachni or leave them behind to effectively die. Um, and kind of um, the potential of losing a good chunk of Grunt's squad in the process. Potentially losing Grunt himself in the process. Although, well, let's just leave it at that for anyone who hasn't played this game. Even though I'm going heavy into spoilers, regardless. Um, we could give a negative for the fake out death. Let's just we're going to spoilers anyway. Um, I don't know. Like it's also just such a badass moment, though. So it's kind of like I feel like the positive is justified, very much so, because it's a great, you know, um, also our eyes still look derpy. Maybe it's just like the fact that like I'm so used to like modern games where like there are like eyes kind of glassy, or eyes can look glassy, or on like 8 and like gen consoles, but they didn't really update that. I don't know. I think it also might just be the eye line in general just feels kind of weird. Um, Also, here we're factoring Grunt himself, so actually it's a net positive for the mission as a whole. And I can't really give it too much negatives for like what it could have been, like just on its own, for not being what it could have been. Like I could give it a negative I already have for it, the mission not being all that radically different based upon your choice. It's already there. I can't really think of a reason to give it another negative, another angle to give it a negative from. Like information. I mean, just because it would make sense that they're. I mean, okay, I could potentially give an information negative for like what I mentioned earlier. I still have to watch it because I want to be sure that there isn't anything about the dialogue that indicates that they are capable of resisting indoctrination to some extent. Um, I mean, apparently in lore, this one is more resistant to indoctrination than, say, the breeder. but that may be a matter more of loyalty in general than because like the breeder isn't exactly quite as indebted to us as the queen is. So like the information negative could be given later. By memory, I don't believe there's anything explicitly saying that like she is resistant to indoctrination or like the chances of her being re-indoctrinated are her and her brood or whatever being re-indoctrinated are particularly low, and it doesn't really happen. It doesn't really. Possibly because they're helping mainly with the Crucible. I don't know. I really need to see it to make a judgment call there. But there is a chance that it will get an information negative for that. It's just that I had to hold off because I don't remember everything quite well. But anyway, I'm just gonna talk to Grunt and then I'm probably gonna save and call it a night because again I'm
Tell me more about this company.
Arlak means Eye of Wrath. We are named after the fierce Tuchanka son. Rex handpicked us from different clans to show a united Krogan. We were sent because we're the strongest.
Did Warlord Okir imprint anything on you about the Rachni during your creation?
Okir ensured I knew of the Rachni. They are respected as an enemy. Everyone thought they were dead, defeated by the Krogan. You proved that wrong. If they're here, my blood demands they die.
What happened to the scouting party?
Looks like something dropped half their camp down a hole. Their shuttle must have been lost as well. They weren't going anywhere. Doesn't matter. We're here to find the Rachni and burn them out.
What did you do after the collectors were defeated?
I spent most of my time back on Tuchanka learning what it was to be Krogan. In the lab where I was created, the lessons were like fighting with practice weapons. They had no bite, no impact. I needed the blood and pain. I made mistakes, but I learned.
I'm not sure we didn't hear it before if I wasn't paying attention before.
All right, let's get going.
Finally, right behind you, Shepard.
Okay. I'm sorry, this is relatively short. Again, I'm just not feeling particularly well tonight. Ellie, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I'm hoping if you're something, I'm being too mean to Ellie. Like, it just. I blame my autism in part. Anyway, there's a bunch of things you can do. Take a few seconds every time. hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow. I probably won't be able to start the stream earlier. I might try to start the stream a little bit earlier, but not by that much. Anyway, again, a bunch of things you do, and if you're so inclined. But regardless of all that, I thank you for watching, and until next time.